John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema Classics.
Cinema Classics is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to shows Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. And listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
I'm Ezra Hoover.
and this is Cinema Classics. And partner, we have a classic.
Giddy up.
And it is probably my favorite Western of all time. Okay? That's it. Flat out. How about yours? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah. Anyone in particular? Like I usually can't say that about one, but I can about this one.
I think one of my first exposures to a good quality classic Western was probably The Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Excellent, excellent.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
a big music guy, and that soundtrack was so iconic that it really
Well,
stuck with me.
Let me tell you, the movie that we're doing today, The Magnificent Seven, this is the original. Not any of these cheap knockoffs, even with Denzel. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking the original. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that, well, all right, let's get started with just the virtue of The Magnificent Seven. Because you mentioned music, and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and any of those Eastwoods are really well done.
Right.
And he has actually probably composed some, I think. But anyway, music, the Elmer Bernstein's score for this movie was nominated. Probably should have won. I don't even know who won that year.
I don't know.
But how could there be a better?
It was beautiful, iconic. The guitar, Spanish guitar music that just kind of rises and swells with the action, and creating that dissonance, that feeling of constant tension.
And as well as what the heroism of it.
Yes,
It
all
swells
about
the way you said. It swells because these guys are, in my mind, heroes.
Right, or anti-heroes.
Right. And we're talking about a Japanese derivation, Seven Samurai.
Oh,
Akira Kurosawa, so we got really good provenance for this.
we do. And speaking of heroes, John, I would love to hear. You need to defend your generation, okay? Because we had Brad Pitt, we had Leonardo.
So lucky.
You had Yul Brynner, okay? How did this guy get so popular? Can you explain that to me?
Well, there was a big sentimental attachment to him because of King and I.
Right,
You know,
right.
So, and women just loved the hell out of it.
Okay. Well, my first, I watched this movie for this show, which I enjoyed. My first impression was, is that a bald cowboy? I don't think there's been any other bald cowboy in any other movie I've ever seen besides you.
He and Steve McQueen were went nose to nose off the set on this.
I heard.
And McQueen, if you notice, does things like take his hat off and
does.
runs this. He just does all kinds of business.
He
It
does.
drove Brynner crazy.
I hated it.
At one point, Brynner says to him, off the set, you don't stop doing that stuff, and I'm going to take my hat off, and nobody will watch you. So the two of them went at it, and McQueen had the biggest good time about Brynner, because Brynner didn't know how to ride a horse.
No.
And McQueen grew up on a ranch.
Oh, did he?
So
boy.
I thought he
can't out cowboy him, huh?
I thought actually he looked pretty good on the horse.
Well, that was my first impression. The next one, he opens his mouth and he's got a Russian accent, which I was not prepared for at all.
Yes, I know.
Very strange.
Yeah.
And just to do my full research, I went back and then I watched The King and I right afterwards, and my mind is all full of various Yul Brynner.
All right, okay,
images.
yeah. Well, I think it adds to it because it is so exotic.
It is very exotic.
Add this to it.
Right.
What person in his right mind would wear a black outfit?
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, in the traditional trope
Right.
of the Western,
Right.
the guy in black is usually bad.
Exactly. Do you think it was intentional? So they have the lead as a Russian person with a clear Russian accent. You have Horst, who has a German accent.
Yes.
Charles Bronson is a son of Lithuanian immigrants.
Yes, very good.
Right. So I mean, I thought about it, and I wonder how diverse the Wild West was. I mean, I'm sure there were European immigrants.
You brought up a point that endears me to this film. It isn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit the logic of this film.
No.
Let me give you this logic. 40 bad boys
Yep.
and 7 good boys.
Right.
What are the odds?
I don't
I don't
know.
care how fast you are with a gun. There's no way. But, however, there's no one like Eli Wallach
No.
as Calvera.
Oh, fantastic! I thought he stole the film.
Oh,
actually.
I mean, you bet. In
It's
the
amazing.
original, as you look at some of the building, he is second.
Right.
And McQueen is third.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, McQueen hadn't yet quite made it.
Okay.
The way, and it really honked him off. The printer was.
I bet it was.
Oh,
well, well, Calvera was such a thoughtful, kind of intellectual bad guy. You almost feel for him. I think he was the most sympathetic character in the whole movie, maybe.
That was my first mistake, being so generous.
Right. Right.
He's gonna let them right off, but what good thinking.
Right.
I mean, they just blast these 7 guys away, but he doesn't want any of their friends coming down looking for him.
Right. Exactly.
What kind of, that's really good thinking.
Right. Well, he's a businessman.
I know,
you know?
that's right.
And speaking of which, probably my favorite line in the film is the first 5 minutes. The villagers are thinking, how can we protect ourselves? We have no guns. And I don't know if you remember, but he says, go up to the border. There's tons of guns up there.
Yes. And actually, there's higher men because they're cheaper than guns.
Right. I know, but the Mexicans are going
Yes,
to the
but-
U.S. There's guns everywhere. It's
right.
still very, very
Well, you might object to this interpretation.
true. Okay.
I see a very strong Christian strain.
Okay.
I start with Chris
All right.
as the leader,
Mm-hmm.
all right, the variant of Christ.
Okay.
Okay, I talk about Calvera, which is the
Mhm.
Calvary.
Okay.
Okay,
Wow.
I talk about, and I've mentioned this to my pastor. At one point, Brenner says to these Mexicans who come to buy their services, he says, "What can you afford to pay?" And he
Mhm.
pulls out the trinkets from their town.
Right.
And he looks at it, he says, Brenner looks at it, he says, "I've been offered a lot for my work, but never everything."
Never everything.
And I said to my pastor, this is what you're saying.
Right.
Is what Christ had said. You've got to give it all up
Wow.
in order to get it, right?
That is deep. I don't know how I missed that. That's a
No,
pretty
well,
strong theme.
No, right, but
I like
once
it.
I got on the Chris thing,
It's got depth.
and and as a matter of fact, there was the three guys that brought the gifts. These are the 3 Mexicans.
You're right, they did.
They did, and he said they brought gifts.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that brings me also to maybe the biggest player of all in this movie, and maybe any Western movie, is the landscape.
Oh,
Every scene just beautiful,
you. Yes.
painted. There are times I squinted. Is that real? You know,
Yes.
it's really shot in the Sonoran Desert down
Yes.
in Mexico,
Yes.
partly in New Mexico, but mostly in the Mexican
Yes.
desert. Gorgeous.
and there are some shots. For instance, when they are riding together for the first
Yes.
time,
Yes.
that line comes through the trees.
Oh, beautiful.
That's beautiful. And another Christian motif,
Mhm.
the fish.
Right.
Horst is offering them fish.
Oh, right. They don't want any part of it.
I know, but still, that's a traditional,
That's true.
isn't
That's
it?
true. That's
So,
true. We had some loaves on the side. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, right, and feeding them all.
Right.
Yeah, I'm on it. So I love that part of it,
Wow,
but
deep movie.
But you're right, there's a certain ballet to this. For instance, if you watch Brenner, he has the fanciest walk just across the screen.
Mhm.
And it is like as if he were in a ballet.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can see these guys laughing at him,
Well, I
at
guess
the way
he's-
he's preening.
Right, he's used to his previous role. So
Yes.
this is 1960, 1957 is
Yes.
King and I, and he is just prancing all around the screen the whole time with this puffed up chest.
Yes,
And
yes.
stage presence, what he does carry the stage, so he's used to that, I guess.
And I love the way he does it. Takes off his hat only once
Yeah.
when he's in the ditch.
Only once.
Yeah.
'Cause that shiny cue ball is just too much for
Whoa,
the camera.
Yeah, right. Oh, but and here's another. Look at all this trivia. We have our audience saying, "What is this?
What are we
What is
talking
this thing about? What's all this trivia these guys are throwing around?"
Right.
The Mexican government
Okay.
was adamant
Mhm.
that all of the Mexicans be in clean white outfits. Did you notice how clean they were?
I did.
I said these
I said,
women are
wow.
really doing a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, the government had demanded that they looked clean.
But it was beautiful, and that almost becomes even more of an allegory, right? All these people with pure white clothes.
Yes,
Right? They're
yes,
innocent.
thank you,
They need
yeah.
to be protected. You
Yes.
know, right?
Yeah.
I do like how they made them a little bit more nuanced, more intelligent. They're not just peons, right?
Yes.
They wrestle with what to do.
Yes.
Some people want to give up. Some people want to fight back.
Exactly, yes,
right?
yeah.
They're not compared to the King, and I hate to keep comparing that movie, right? But they're not the kind of dull-witted children that need saving, right? These are real people.
Thank you, I
right?
agree. They are farmers.
Yes.
And my favorite character of all is the old man.
Right. Oh yeah. Fantastic. You did so well.
Oh my God.
The grace.
And
He's
he's just they want to bring him down to town because they know Calvera and these 40 guys are going to be coming. And so they go out to get him out from his ranch. He said, I'm not going back in there. He said,
Yeah.
because we're going to talk about fertilizer and women.
Women.
He says, fertilizer, he says,
boring.
Yeah, it's boring.
Uh-huh.
And he said, in women, I lost my interest at 83.
Exactly. It's fantastic.
I think his last name is Sokol. He's actually a
Sokol,
famous
okay.
character, but boy, what an actor.
Fantastic.
Oh my gosh. All right, listen. I know that people are saying, you know, who are these goofballs? They're in the top 10 of NPR. They haven't even said one coherent thing about the movie The Magnificent Seven.
It's a classic. You've seen it. We're providing in-depth commentary.
Yeah. And we didn't even get into any Vietnam allegory here about going into another country and
Right.
saving them.
Right.
You know, we're trying not to do that. We're trying not to push you around. Ezra Hoover, the movie is The Magnificent Seven. There is more to be heard from us if they dare, if they want to go to our podcast.
Meet us there.
Yeah, it's called Double Take. But Ezra, this is available even free on YouTube.
Yep.
You have to take an ad or two, about 4 or 5 ads, but it's easy if you don't want to spend any money.
It's worth it.
For The Magnificent Seven, this is the original, please. All right.
No Denzel.
Ezra, what do you advise people about seeing this movie?
Anyone that's interested in film should definitely see it, just as a masterful example of the Western genre.
And many of them know John Ford,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they've heard of John Sturgis.
Maybe not.
And Sturgis did Bad Day at Black Rock, among other things. And this thing is choreographed beautifully. Elmer Bernstein's track you can listen to without even seeing the movie.
Oh yeah. The music and the scenery alone are beautiful.
I'm John DeSando.
Cinema, 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 cinema. Classics, let's go to the